Hi, guys, and good morning. We're trying something a little bit different today, and I'm doing a voiceover. So, I had this suggestion a couple days ago when I had issues with my computer or my camera not recording, and somebody said, "Could you just show scenes of you working around the farm and do the voiceover?" And at that, I was like, "Oh, I really could have done that. That would have been much simpler." And I also, at the same time, got a request to talk a little bit about why homesteading is so beneficial and why we chose this. So I thought this might be the perfect video to go ahead and do a voiceover while we're doing our morning chores and talk to you guys a little bit about why homesteading and what's so beneficial about it. Specifically, the request was because of children or grandchildren that might be slowly getting interested in it, because it does seem to be a pretty popular and trendy thing right now to get into homesteading. I think probably ever since 2020, there's been a mad rush to get back to the simpler way of life for many people. Many people are looking for property and they want to begin their journey. And so I think it is really important to discuss all the different things about it and why it is so important and what we love about it, what we hate about it, what we wish we could change about it. But so let's get into it. The first thing about homesteading, the why we got into it, is basically just to be more resilient in a world that is very uncertain. Stepping back into old ways is very comforting in many ways. Knowing that you can put up a supply of food in jars on your shelf that you don't have to go to the grocery store and buy is peace of mind, and it takes away some of the stresses of daily life, especially when the price of food goes up, or in certain situations there might be shortages of food. And it really does give you some peace of mind to know that what you have on your shelves is yours, and nobody short of coming to your door can try to take away what you already have. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And also you understand and you see what you're growing, and you know what chemicals are used and things like that, which hopefully would be none of them. That's in our situation. We make sure that we don't use any types of harsh chemicals or pesticides or harsh fertilizers, anything like that. We try to stay away from all of those things. So we know that our food is clean. We could go out into the garden, pick it off the plant, and take a bite of it and not worry about what type of poisons may be there. So that's another added benefit, of course, to homesteading. When it comes to the animal aspect, I think one of the most beautiful things about it is that you can understand that your animals are loved and cared for to the best of your ability, and they never have a bad day. The ones that are destined to go to freezer camp, they'll have one bad day, but that's one bad day. And for the rest of their lives, they know love, compassion, care, things that you don't know if the steak at the grocery store has ever been offered. So, it's a lot of knowing where your food comes from and understanding the connection between us and that process. I think that's something that's deeply lost in today's society. We have lost touch with what it takes to produce food, and that these animals all have their own personalities, and they all have their own benefits and pros and cons, and when you work with them every single day, you can see that and you can appreciate them more. I can tell you one thing: when I go to the grocery store and I pick up a package of pork chops, I don't think twice about it or the animal that it came from. I stick it in the cart and away I go. But when I take a pig to the butcher and I load it onto the trailer and I look at it and I appreciate that animal for everything that it's about to give to me, I appreciate that animal for the life that it had, and I appreciate the connection that we had together. I know that I was able to give that animal a quality life, and I although I always feel very badly, I can also feel very good about it at the same time. And I think that's something that we also don't talk about enough. It is okay to feel bad, but also feel good at the same time. And that might be a very unique perspective that one doesn't think about very often. I know anytime we've butchered chickens or turkeys or anything like that, every single one of them, I feel a certain way, sad, obviously, and I apologize to each and every one, and it's deeply heartfelt, truly, and it's something that is just a natural thing for me. And I feel like, when you buy from the grocery store, you're very disconnected, and I just think it's a lot more wholesome. It's very hard to describe, the emotion, the range of emotions that puts you through. But at the end of the day, I think it makes you a more well-rounded, a more genuinely empathetic type of person to be able to do the entire process. I feel like it makes you a better human in a way. But you are taking responsibility for your own food source, and I think that's really special in today's day and age, where everything is Amazon mentality: buy it one day and expect it the next. To be able to see that entire process and grow with it is very special indeed, because that's things that many people don't get to see. So, there's that aspect of it, and of course, the gardening and all the physical attributes that go into it. Of course, the average person goes to work, their 9-to-5 job, and some of those jobs are physical, some of them are mental, some of them are, mundane. But they'll go to work their 9-to-5 job, and they'll come home and they get to relax for the next however many hours till they go to bed and get up and do it all over again. When you choose to have a homestead, some people still have to work to be able to afford it, and we'll touch on that here in a little bit. But other people, like myself, kind of throw themselves into it full time. And to do it full time requires a lot of grit. Being a homesteader for the average person doesn't make you much money unless you have a specific niche that is really ironed out. It doesn't make you rich. It doesn't even make you a good paycheck. What it does is it gives you peace of mind of the food that's going on in your refrigerator, your freezer, and your pantry. But that being said, it still is sometimes a 24/7 job when you think about, the frigid cold that comes through, and you have to make sure all the water is broke for the animals so that they can drink and they have enough food. Or when you're going through lambing and you're not sure what time of the day or night that your sheep may need you. These are things that make this job very 24/7, and it's sometimes very physically taxing, other times very emotionally taxing. You never know what you're going to get, and even though you wake up and you think every day is the same, you do the same chores every single day, there are so many days where you wake up and you have no idea where that day is going to take you. There's no way to plan it or expect what may happen. So for that, it's very unique, I think. But back to the money aspect, homesteading shouldn't be something that you get into because you think you're going to make money on eggs or whatever product it is that you want to, make money on. I can tell you right now, it costs me more to keep my chickens than I will ever make selling their eggs. And it costs me more to keep my chickens than it would if I would go to the grocery store and buy those eggs. Even at the crazy high prices of eggs right now, I think the national average is somewhere around $5.50. So it does cost me more to keep my chickens than I will get in return. However, what I get from my chickens is I love them to death. I mean, I think they're fantastic. They're one of my favorite farm animals by far, especially my little duckles. But what I also get is an egg that you can't purchase at the grocery store. I don't care if they tell you that it's cage-free, pasture-raised, organic, whatever. The quality of the eggs that I go pick out of my chicken coop are none, above and beyond anything that you can purchase at a grocery store. There's a freshness guarantee when you go down to the barn and you collect your eggs every day, you know that that egg is a day old. But when you go to the grocery store and you purchase those eggs might be 30 days old, 40 days old, 60 days old. It's hard to tell. And with every day that passes, the nutritional content of that egg diminishes. So, of course, that's the other aspect, knowing that it is actually much better for me, dietarily speaking, to raise my own chickens. So these are all things you take into consideration when you think about homesteading. But we also talked about, we're not going to make money technically unless you're really good and business minded. You're probably not going to make money a lot by selling specific products straight off of your farm. You may be able to cut the costs of putting your own food in the fridge or on the shelf, but you're not really going to make a ton of money. Again, unless you're very business-minded and you can come up with a very strategic business plan, which is possible to do. But there's another aspect as well that we have to discuss, and that is the cost of homesteading itself. And what does it cost? It costs everything. All of it. It costs your time. It costs your vacations. It costs your sanity sometimes. It costs a lot of money. There's a joke all the time with horse people or farmers in general. It says, there's my 5-star cruise and vacation to the Bahamas eating hay in the pasture. And it's true, because not only are you not going to be able to leave your homestead to go on a vacation, because it's very rare to find somebody that you could, 1, trust, and 2, could even be capable of taking care of your animals. But they cost a lot of money. Jeff always tells me that I would be rich if I didn't have all these animals, and he's not wrong. But I always tell him I might be rich financially, but I would be poor emotionally. And that's so very important. And I think more than anything, that's what this whole homesteading movement is about. It's about hearkening back to the old times where home was the most important place you could be. Home was where you took care of your family and you protected your family, and you cooked and you made sure that everything was right. Because so much in this world you can't control anymore. You can't trust that if you go to the movies that something horrible might not happen. But you can pretty much guarantee that if you stay home and you bake your bread and you make your cookies and you go out and take care of your animals, that tragedy could still happen, but the likeliness of mass chaos is much less, and you will live a much more peaceful life. And I liken it to kind of, if you've ever watched The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, and you think about the hobbits in the movie. The hobbits were these very peaceful critters. They lived in little under the ground homes, and they always had great food, cheese and wine and breads and all kinds of things. And their homes were so special to them. They had their books and their gardens, and everything was so quaint and peaceful. And I really liken that to homesteading, because that's pretty much how it is. You're never gonna guarantee yourself not to have a bad day, but you are gonna guarantee yourself a lot of peace of mind, which I find very comforting in a very fast world that we live in right now. So these are all things that I think people should consider when they're thinking about homesteading, because it's definitely not an easy choice to make. But I do recommend that if you are considering getting into homesteading, that you do a lot of research and that you dip your toes in very slowly. So I think that you're going to want to, get some chickens. 3-5 chickens. They multiply very quickly once you've already got some, so don't worry about that at all. But get used to taking care of just your few little chickens. And I always say start with chickens, because it's a less expensive venture and you get good reward relatively quickly. And you're going to learn how to care for an animal twice a day, every day, or more often than that. And you're going to get a lot of experience just from having those few small chickens. And also, start a small garden if you can. If all you have is a couple pots on a patio, then do that. See if you can get a tomato plant to thrive. Try to plant some herbs that you can substitute in your cooking in your daily life. Start somewhere. Start small. And once you've got a hold of it real good, then you're going to grow faster than you could ever imagine. You're going to take those 5 chickens, and pretty soon you're going to have 15 chickens, and you're going to have a bigger garden plot, and then you may end up with more and more different things. And before long you'll be milking your own goat and replacing the store-bought milk, and it's really incredible all the things that you can really accomplish if you set your mind to it and you really try. And I guess that would be the last thing that I want to talk about is you really have to have grit to live this life. It is not for the faint of heart. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is hard work that goes into it, and there's a lot of heartbreak that goes into it. There's a lot of tough days. There's a lot of days that you wake up and you say, man, I just don't want to do this. You can't call off sick when you have 30 animals or more that are waiting for you to come down and feed them. So you really have to have a lot of grit, and you have to have the determination and the drive to see it through. Because ultimately, it all depends on that. If you wake up and you say, I don't really want to go out and do this today, your garden will fail. Your chickens won't do well. You'll be frustrated because the chicken coop is dirty and the chickens don't want to lay eggs, and it just seemed like a waste of time to you. So you really have to motivate yourself to be there, to show up every single day, and to be the person that the animals and the garden need you to be. But in that, I think you find out a lot about yourself as a person, and I think you do a lot of growing, and I think you can reach down and dig up this strong, willing person that maybe you didn't even know existed within. And that is also a very beautiful thing. And I do recommend that everybody at least tries, step in and give it a go wherever you are, however you can. You can homestead in an urban city. It looks different. It doesn't look like what I do. And I don't have maybe all the answers for that. But there are people on YouTube that do. There are people that are doing it right now. And I just think that it's a really great experience. Even if you don't stick with it long term, I think that it is something very special, and it will open your eyes a whole lot. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a really different thing for me to do. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this format. It's a lot of fun to do. It's a little nerve-wracking when I have to talk over. It's a little bit difficult, so I would really appreciate all the feedback. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, just let me know. If you like my original vlogging style, I will be glad to do that too. With all that, guys, we hope you have a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.